Slurpee. Happy Sunday. Blessed, wonderful souls of God out there. I'll tell you, I went to 2 churches again today. I'm going to watch church here soon, so that'll be 3. But the 2 that I went to, they were both on fire. But one of them there, we made a arrangement, deal, whatever, that we're all going to try to do something extra for God this week. For no reason. Just not something that you would do for a breakthrough that we're looking for, not something that we do just going to church and do something that we do every day, my videos for you guys, which is trying to plant seeds for him. Seeds of him. I'm all runny nosed. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do extra videos. I'm going to do some other things as well. But that's for breakthrough. It's not for extra. I had a lot of bad news today. Nothing you guys need to know about, really. But I'll tell you. How about that? My nephew, who I love to death, freaking just a young guy. He's only, I think he's 21 now. He just OD'd again. And this time he was behind the wheel. And drinking and all kinds of stuff. Our society's such a mess. It's heartbreaking. These kids and what they think is cool. Not just kids, my age guys that still think cool's a thing. Like, oh man. Overwhelmingly disheartening, I'll tell you. But God's been doing so much good, wonderful things in my life that it's not going to break me by any stretch. But man, it hurts. Super duper sad. Such a good kid. Talented and smart and loving and gifted, and just had a total douchebag for a father. I guess he did his best. He did what he thinks was his best, whatever, which was, it gave him a lot throughout his life. Spent time with him, more time than I ever did with my old man or whatever. And they did do some cool things together over the years that I thought, you know, what a good dad or whatever. But he didn't teach him respect, principles, morals, standards. None of that. None of that. And actually, his dad wants respect, but never wants to give any respect. Anyway, too. So, just one fuck up to another, right? I'm not perfect, by any stretch. But I did try to instill that in him. It's just too little from my being outside of it or whatever. Anyway, doesn't matter. I thought about it though, and I always think, how cool would it be if people were still being raised by the Torah, just with the New Testament, right? Like, you know, you read Bible stories about these guys that just 60 years studying the Bible or whatever, living in a monastery, and then go out and have kids and life and shit at like 80. It's so big in my head that it's hard to explain it, because it's hard to even fathom how awesome would our world be right now if everybody had a better understanding of cosmology and of God and of everything. Like, yes, that information is out there, and maybe you can stumble across something like Dr. Hovid, or Dr. Dino, he calls himself as well, Dr. Kent Hovid, Hovin, I've heard it pronounced both ways, so, anyway, he's, I don't know what his doctorate's in, but probably teaching, because he was a teacher for 15 years or something like that. Science teacher. Someday, or some of you might be lucky enough to find somebody like that, or to find Pastor Omar Tribute, who is the leader of the School of the Christian Church, School of the Hebrews Christian Church. That'll plant seeds in you that, like a garden, and you just become this wonderful, wonderful garden of knowledge and wisdom and godliness. But it's so late. Now, I'm not saying I'm old or anything. And I know I'm not trying to live in the past either, or I know that my past was what it was, so that God will have what I'm going to be later. And thank God for that. I'm so grateful that I am usable. I know it's small use, but anyway. And I just think about how different our world would be. Everybody was raised that way. And not just our world, how different would just your individual life be if just you were raised that way. One of the preachers I was listening to today talked about a guy in college who was complaining about his testimony because it was the minister's son, and he was lucky enough to be on fire for God. I don't know who his father was, but was able to keep him. And he said he felt like his testimony was plain because it was just born in the church, raised in the church, loved the church, going to college, Bible school to stay in the church kind of thing. Imagine just the knowledge that you would have, the fucking understanding. How much, if I had taken all the years of drinking and partying, all that wasted time, and spent it reading books that God sent down or that were inspired by the angels through God, obviously, because it's always God, but I mean, he tells an angel to go down and, like Metatron, he'll say, you know, guide their path through their new stories or whatever. I can't get the words quite right now. But and then that angel comes down and touches your life. However, be the person that you meet. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing. I'd love to hear comments about it. You guys never comment enough. Anyway, that heartbreaking news that I got this morning wasn't as heartbreaking as it could have been because no, because trust in the Lord with all of their heart, thine heart, lean not on thy own understanding. Fear not, for I am with thee. And I know that's true. Anyway, I do think about that once in a while. How different the world would be in each individual person. Who each of us would be if we were actually shown both sides and then left to our own thought processes, not given one side and a conclusion and then told that that conclusion is fact, but rather told both sides and no conclusion and say but even more so, once that was being done, the science would be different, truer, realer. People would understand the earth that they live on differently. They would understand their purpose differently and therefore understand themselves differently and each other we would look at each other differently and treat each other differently. Of course, there still would be sickos, but again, even the way that we would treat those people would be far superior. Right? And then when I just think back, when I read about people like Abraham who just dedicated their lives. And then there was more like Shem, Samuel's mother just weaned him from breast milk and gave him to the church. For his whole life, he was just raised right in it, bathed in it. Ugh, I wish that so much for every child that's born. Like, we talk about parenting and how to parent and all these different new ways of parenting, and should we spank and should we do this and should we do that. Imagine God being your parent right from the time you were little. And your school and your and the real God, not one of the many fake gods. But if we were actually looking for truth, drawing conclusions off real science, testing, demonstrating, fuck. I pray that each of you just see it. Just a little tiny bit. That's my all 9 of you, or whatever, 4. It doesn't matter. 1. Always said that. It just takes 1. I save 1 more soul, and all the struggles, all the trials, all the tribulations, all the shit that I've gone through, totally worth it. All the push of life, all the struggle of life, everything that you, you know, all those things that you think, why the fuck do we have to do that? 1 makes it worth it, you know. Yeah, I gotta struggle to feed myself, keep myself warm, pay these bills, pay those bills, do this, do that, work, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm taking my spare time to do other things to try to save people and learn and go out and discern and try to extrapolate the knowledge and then tear it apart and put it back together and figure it out and go and listen to other people who are doing the same knowledge, talk to those people who are looking at the same knowledge, and try to and now I've been listening to these flat earth debates with the engineers and stuff. Just what we've learned in the last fucking 5 years, flat earthers or whatever, probably in the last 2 years, really. Like, these guys, it's hard to listen to it. It's slow. The debate's slow. The conversation's slow. And it's a Zoom meeting or whatever, so there's pauses between somebody talking and stuff like that. It's not very entertaining at all. It's less entertaining than me. So that's not saying much. But it's there's a friggin' knowledge in there, like in the things that they were talking about, like just They were doing like ripping apart all the mathematical equations for like gravity and shit like that. They were just schooling these guys and going way above my head. Let's just say that. Way. Which is awesome. God bless them. Each and every one of them. They're just smart dudes. And chicks, I'm sure. I couldn't listen to the whole thing again. It was fucking boring. But to know that there's that out there, that high academic, flat earth, cosmological group trying to figure out all of the little details. Because that's what the heliocentrics always say. Wow, what about this tiny little thing? And it's like, well, okay, we don't quite know that yet. But all of science has been aggressively pushing down this road of this misrepresentation all these years, and again, not even allowed to look at this side, not even like laughed out of the room kind of stuff. So how can you know what the truth is when you're going over that way? So yeah, there's things that we don't quite know. But we don't need to know all that to show you that it's flat. That was beautiful. Little rhyme right there. Popped out. We don't though. We don't need to know every fucking detail to know heliocentrism is false. Right? Then you once you stop looking at the lie and start going down the truth, then money start going into the truth, and then yeah, okay, we could certainly tell you what the sun's made out of and why the northern lights and all that stuff, more than just like I have theories about it, but they're just theories based on things I've read or whatever. But it's not I haven't actually fucking flown there. We're not allowed to go there. Sorry, North Pole. Near impossible to get there. Blurred out in Google Maps so that you don't know what the fuck's there. And it's huge. It's fucking huge up there. Like, way bigger than you think. To put it into perspective, Alaska, which is like fucking tiny on the map, north, and then you got like the North Pole part that they blur out, and Alaska's like probably this big in comparison to something like this. Every person on Earth could have a small acreage in Alaska right now, all 7 billion of us, and have the rest of the entire planet empty of mankind. That's how fucking big it is. We could each have like, I think it was 2 acres or something when there were 7 billion of us or something like that. It's fucking astronomical. Huge. Fucking huge. And so theories can be theories. That's all. But until we actually fucking go there for real, or I'm sure we're going there, but get the real information of what they're doing there and what they found there and what they've seen there and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all hidden from us. You don't actually know. They tell you stuff, but what they're telling you and what's actually there are 2 totally different fucking things, obviously, or they wouldn't blur it out in Google Maps. They'd show you what it is. Okay? And there's spots like that all over Earth, in Google Earth or whatever, that they just fucking blur out. You're not allowed to see that. Same goes for like the ice walls and stuff like that. And they say, oh, well, we'd fall off the earth. And you should have had a fucking V8. You think that you'd fall off of a plate, but you wouldn't fall off of a ball? Like if I gave you a big fucking circus ball or a fucking big platform, which one would you have an easier time standing on? Which one would you be able to put water on? Pieces of land on, like rocks or whatever. Or fucking maybe have a little frozen spot on it, right? And if you put, a plate has a rim around the edge of it, so you could actually fill it right up. Like a lot of plates have a high rim, but all plates have some kind of a rim. They're not bowls, they're plates, but they're still high rimmed enough to contain supper. You can put a plate of stew on a plate and all the stew water doesn't just fall off the side. But if you put it on a basketball, like why don't we eat from basketballs? Wouldn't that make more sense? If, wouldn't you mimic the earth to use and make things that were going to contain things? The earth contains everything. So if you're going to make something to contain things, you'd match it to the earth. You wouldn't go try to design a new container, remake the wheel. It's right there. There's the design. Oh, look, that works really good. Let's do it. Anyway, just makes sense. Have a fucking V8. Sorry, that was a bad joke, but I think I'm funny. Again. Imagine that. And everybody was happy enough, or was confident enough, or open enough to actually be themselves. You didn't have to try to be cool. You didn't have to pretend to be whatever it is that you fucking pretend to be, or stride to be. I've had friends of mine try to tell me, you fall in love with every girl you have sex with. You got to go out and have sex with 100 girls, and then you'll stop having that, and you won't fall in love anymore, and you'll be able to just bang them all, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Why would I fucking want to do that to myself? I'd rather fucking fall in love with every girl that I have sex with. I'll just be more concerned and discerning about who the fuck it is that I'm having sex with, but I won't go destroy myself, kill my soul, kill a part of myself, like kill something that's in me, something that I was born with, something that's natural. Why would you kill that? And that's not just that's like a loving natural. Now, if I had an urge to punch everybody I see, that's something you want to kill, right? Like that's an urge that you want to get rid of. So just go out and punch everybody and get it out of your system. No, I'm just joking. But that's the logic, right? But don't do that. Don't go out and don't go out and sleep with everybody until you don't fucking love anymore either. You're supposed to love anybody that you sleep with. It's not. It's just another thing that we got backwards. Right? In our society, people say, "Oh, you're so fucking weird. You think of everything weird and backwards." I'm glad I think of everything weird and backwards of what your society tells me to think. It's not me that's weird and backwards. Society's weird, backwards, and creepy. And it's not like you'll argue with me, people, right? Like that'll say, no, it's not that bad, and blah blah blah. You're too far, this and that. They're fundamentally good people. I was arguing with my ex-mother-in-law. Her and I having a debate. We don't argue. We get along very well, and have heated discussions. She's CNN, I'm Fox News, right? Like, we're opposites. We agree that there's a evil on this earth, and that it's plagued throughout our society and stuff. And she thinks that it's all Trump. And I think that it's more everybody else. Evidence for that is our rights, freedoms, and everything that we hold dear in order to be free and democratic has been going like this for about 30 years, and then 40 years, a lot more than that actually, since Woodrow Wilson. It's been going downhill like this. And actually, it was going like this. It went right from America got made, and then it slowly started to go down. And then they'd get rid of the First National Bank, and then they got rid of the Second National Bank, and then they got rid of the Third National Bank, and then they got rid of the Fourth National Bank. But it kept kind of slowly going down. And then Andrew Jackson. So it's going along like that. And then it was Andrew Jackson, and he kicked the Federal Reserve and everything right out, all the national banks, and he started to print American money and paying off debt, and everything was going really good. His vice president had like a shootout with the Rothschild ambassador, and they fucking killed him. And then the Rothschild assassin came for Andrew Jackson, and the gun jammed, and he threw it down, and he grabbed another gun. I don't know where all these